What is up, my dude? Shout out to all my day ones out there that still remember whenever I used to just ride wheelies at the beginning of every single one of my videos. That's how you know you're old school as fuck, Spencer Turley fan. So, but yeah, it's basically coming a tornado outside right now. So, if I slip away, if I die today, the last thing they remember might be about some apple bottom jeans with the boots, with the fur. You know what I'm saying? I'm still 21 years old, dude. I gotta live it. So, I mean, you know, maybe I'll grow up one day. But yeah, this is the track review of 2017 Lakewood. And this is a prime example of the difference between the 2016 version of this track and the 2017 version. That is exactly what I talk about whenever I talk about a better type of roughness. Like whenever I say janky and weird built and stuff like that, that's how the 2016 version of this track was to me. But this 2017 version, it's like they just made it more consistent. They made it more rideable. They made it more... And it's not even necessarily that it's super easy in comparison, it's just that the track feels like it's actually made better than the 2016 version. But, I mean, I like the way the 2016 version is made as well because it is so weird, and I do like every once in a while when they throw kind of a curveball in there, but... This is a prime example, though, whenever I say, like, a track is AIDSy or janky. Well, basically, that's what I mean, like, on the 2016 version of this track. That's more of, like, the not really built as well compared to this one where it's just more consistent roughness. It's just more predictable roughness, which makes it to where you can actually show your skill a lot better, more so than just randomly getting completely kicked off of your bike because you hit some random peaked out roughness, you know. It's a little bit more just like a properly built track, it seems like to me. But I mean, like I'm saying, it just all depends on, I mean, personal preference. That's everything to this game. Some people love this kind of track, and some people love that kind of track, and some people love, you know, whatever. I mean, everybody has their own opinion about it. Everybody thinks completely differently. There's some tracks out there that I think are terrible, and some people love them. There's some tracks that I think are amazing, and everybody thinks they're terrible, you know. It all depends on what you like personally. So, but like, what I've noticed, and I think it's really good for me to come on here and actually do reviews of these AMA replica tracks every once in a while, just to kind of get an update on what the RF dudes are doing with it. Anyways, this track right here, you can definitely feel the similarities to the year before, and you definitely don't want to get it too crazy different, but like, I feel like with these replica tracks, they need to change the ground decal at least a little bit every single year, and they need to, like, two of the most important things is make sure the ground decal is different, and make sure the actual, where the ruts and berms themselves are in the corner, at least change up a little bit in every single corner from year to year. I'm not saying it has to be drastic, but I'm saying just a little bit. That way it doesn't, it seems like when you get on those replica tracks from like one year to the next, if it, damn boy, about to kill me with that lightning out there, but I hope the power doesn't shut off. Let's see if we can make it through this video. But yeah, like sometimes they will, where it'll be like, and by the way, my dog's over here scared to death, so if he starts whimpering, that's what that is. I promise it's not me crying, but okay, so what I was saying is, like, if you have any sort of similarities with your rut lines in the corners from like one year to the next, it's going to feel so repetitive so fast on a track. It's like, you almost can't believe it, you know, and I think that's one of the biggest problems that sometimes they have when they do these replica tracks is they'll make the ruts in the exact same spot, and it just, even though you can change other little areas of the track, it seems like when you get the ruts, if they're anywhere similar in the corner, you could change a lot of other things, but it still feels like the same track because the ruts in the corners feel the same. Now on this track, there are some sections that definitely feel different, and that's always a big plus. You know, you never want the track to feel identical to the year before, even though you're basically making the same exact track, because a lot of times they don't change the layouts very often. But as long as you can go in there and change the roughness and the rut positions, that's what really gives it the different feeling that it requires from year to year to actually feel like it's a different year of a track in that sense. So I think that's a very important thing, and just kind of changing some of the jump faces here and there. Obviously you can't change the things like I mean, you know, Larocco's Leap, the Catapult, Henry Hill, the list kind of, I think there's like a Martin Brothers Hill or whatever the fuck that is. You got the Glen Hill and Mount St. Helen, you got all that shit. So you're never really going to be able to change those too much. But I mean, I'm speaking from even a real life motocross position. It would be cool to see if in real life they changed at least one section of the track layout wise every year, just to make it a little bit different, you know, instead of the exact same track layout. And I know sometimes they don't really get it perfect with the RF replica stuff because you can't, like, the track comes out before it's actually out. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on with that. It's sometimes when they do that, it's going to take a year before you actually get the changes in the MX Simulator track, unless they made the tracks after the real life track came out, and then that would be difficult, you know, to go in there and make a change on the track that quick. So it's just difficult, you know, and it takes a lot of time to get it all right. But like, for instance, instead of making this a tight corner right here, they could have just made it like a longer sweeper all the way around, and then had like a really big tabletop in here somewhere or something like that. I'm saying like in the real life version, not just the MX Simulator version. I feel like all of the motocross tracks need at least one little change up in their layout every single year, besides those really famous areas on those tracks out there that you can never really change because they're too famous. But I feel like the 15 version of this track looked a lot more like it did in real life, unless I'm getting my years confused. It's either the 14 or the 15, one of those. It looked way more like the real life version, and I feel like the 2017 version of High Point looks way more like the real life version than the 2016 version of High Point. It's kind of like they go back and forth where it'll really look like the track, the real life track, and then they'll change something up one year and then it won't really look like the real life track. I feel like this one right here, it's missing a little bit in that area, but it's still a really fun track, and I think the roughness is made well on it, very consistent. It's big enough to where you get squirrely when you go fast enough, so it's good enough for the pros, but it's also not too janky and aidsy on you, so you can get away with doing a whole lot. Really fun scrub jump right there. But I mean, just changing it up where you had like ruts all the way from the landing of this right here all the way up, instead of just ruts right there in that one area. Just a little bit more drastically different changes and stuff like that would make it interesting. But in an overall sense, I thought it was changed enough from the 16 to the 17 for sure. I'm really impressed what they did with the High Point track from last year to this year. I may do a separate review on that, but yeah, man. So anyways, I would give this track I would probably give it, as in an overall sense, probably like an 8 overall. I thought it was, let me just give every track I've ever reviewed an 8 overall, but I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood. Like, it's not super amazing, it's not super different from the year before, still missing that, a little bit of that, what the real life track actually looks like. Like, I wish I could explain that, but it's, unless I had that like 2014 or 15 version sitting right here, it would be really hard to do that. Let me see. What year is that? Is that the 15? I don't even know. 2015. Okay, here we go. Here's the 2015 one. Now, for whatever reason, this one to me just looks identical to what you see on TV whenever you watch this track. I don't know why, for whatever reason, but this one just has way more of a, I don't know if it's the ground decal or if it's always the kind of cloudy nature that it has. I have no clue, but this one, it's so much closer to the real life, the actual vibe of the real life Colorado track in comparison to what we've seen on the 2017 one. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy when you go back to this track and you realize how different they really are. I mean, they change a lot, so, you know, they got to be careful on the actual vibe of it when they change. It's okay to change, like, areas on the track and roughness and ruts and stuff like that, but I think it needs to go back to more of this actual theme and, like, feeling of the track, if that makes any sense at all. I think this skybox was perfectamundo for this track, even though it is a little bit pixelated. That's still okay. Not horrible, but yeah, man, I don't know. This just looks like identical to the real life Colorado track in comparison to like the 17 one, as far as just the sheer graphical look of it. And as far as high point, you know, they had it really similar like back in the 15, I'm pretty sure, on this game, and but then on the 16 one, that's when they kind of went off in a weird direction. Then it didn't really feel like the actual high point. And then now in the 17 high point, it's kind of like they're going back to that original vibe, like I'm saying they should have done with this Colorado track right here. So anyways, 8 overall, and I would say the difficulty is, I mean, it's probably medium. Definitely nothing too wild, out of the realm, anything like that. Nothing crazy, but still a fun, raceable track.